This worked in 2016, but does it work now? Your contour always turns out this way because you're making the exact mistakes I show in this video, but don't worry, I'm also going to show you how to fix them. So let's get into it. So I'm going to be doing the do's on this side of my face and then the don'ts on this side of my face, just to give you a clear picture of what you should and shouldn't do. For the don'ts, I usually see this a lot of times. You don't know the right color to pick for your contour shade, so you end up picking a color that is literally your concealer shade or your foundation shade. Your contour is meant to be a shade that is 2 to 3 shades darker than your skin. Nothing lighter, nothing darker. These 3 concealers that I have here are examples of concealers that wouldn't work for my skin tone, simply because this one is just too dark. This is the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Espresso. This is going to be too dark for my skin tone. This, on the other hand, is going to be competing with my foundation shade, so this also doesn't work. But for the purpose of this video, for the don'ts, we're going to be using this shade Espresso, and for our do's side, we're going to be using this Ezekiel Skin Fit foundation stick. This is a foundation stick, but it can be used as a contour stick, and it is in the shade Tage. I'll tell you why this would work for me. You can clearly see the difference. It is a darker shade than my skin tone. However, it's about 3 shades darker than my skin tone. Another mistake that I see a lot of people do is using the contour stick or the contour wand directly on their skin, and there is a simple reason to this, especially as a beginner. It's not as if it's a crime or a taboo to do that, but you want to avoid doing that because you won't be able to control the amount of product that you put on your face, and that is going to make you have trouble blending it out because it's going to be a lot. Instead, what you want to do is get yourself a contour brush. I explained this more in my video on brushes you need for your face makeup, and you want to take this and pick up the products. In the case of a tube or a wand, you want to apply it to the back of your hand, and then using this brush you also want to pick up the products and then apply. That way the brush is picking up the products and absorbing in some of the product to give you that diffused look, rather than putting it on your skin directly and having that harsh product on your face that you now have to blend out and make sure you're blending out the edges. The third tip we're going to be talking about is your contour placement. Oh my god, I know a lot of people struggle with this, and that is why I am here to help. So for your contour placement, you either don't know where to place these contour products on your skin, or you place it in the wrong area and end up having trouble blending it out and looking structured. So first things first, you need to identify where you're supposed to place your contour, and your contour is meant to be placed in the hollow of the cheek. This is the hollow of the cheek. Now, in most people with a more structured face, you can see this hollow of the cheeks more prominent in those people. But if you have a rounder face and you cannot identify the hollow of your cheeks, the hollow of your cheeks would be right under the apple of your cheeks. So you can identify the apple of your cheeks, and then right under the area you will have the hollow of your cheeks. I haven't placed any contour product on my face right now, but I can easily identify that this is the hollow of my cheeks, and that is where you place your contour for your cheeks. Another place you need to place your contour is on the sides of your forehead. For someone with a smaller forehead, on the sides of your forehead. But if you have a bigger forehead, you want to place it on the perimeter of your forehead, and you want to place it in such a way that you can be able to blend that product in. So like I said, pick up the product with a brush rather than just going in directly. I also see some people bring this over, way past their eye, almost to the middle of their eyes. You don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is to pick up the product with your brush and apply it directly to the hollow of your cheeks, and stop. You're trying to enhance your facial features. You're not trying to give yourself another feature entirely. So why would you do this? Stop at the tail end of your brow. So you want to stop in the line that is, would I say, perpendicular to the tail end of your brow. You don't want to bring it all the way to this place, because that is just going to defeat the purpose of contouring. The next thing that I see a lot of people doing, and this is my favorite part, to be honest, I see a lot of people dragging this down to blend it. You don't want to drag it down. At the same time, I am not a fan of dragging it up, even though a lot of people say it gives that lift, but I would say just stamp it in rather than. You might think blending it downwards is going to give you a more structured face, but I don't know if you can see it, but it makes you look like a ghost. It makes you look casket ready. It makes your face look longer than it's supposed to be, rather than giving your face that lift and structure. It gives your face another type of structure. You don't want to do this. Moving on to the forehead, I see people do the same thing too. Blend the forehead downwards rather than upwards. You don't want to do that, because now your forehead is going to be so small and it would defeat the whole purpose of even doing anything. Now the contour is extending to my eyebrows. What you want to do is to take up that product into your hairline, so you blend upwards rather than pushing it down. Another area you need to blend is your jawline. Now I can't even blend my jawline because the contour has extended to my jawline. You want to blend your jawline downwards, more like stamping it in. Like I said, I don't say blend upwards. The only thing that I would tell you to blend upwards is the contour on your forehead, because you're going to have to blend it into your hairline to make it a seamless transition. This, on the other hand, I'd say stamp it in, but if you are to blend, if you have any harsh line that you need to blend, rather than blending it downwards, blend it upwards. Same goes for this. You're to stamp it into the place you want it to be, but rather than blending upwards, I'd say go downwards for the chin. And now it's going to give you this silhouette. Blending the jawline is good, especially for people with round faces, because you want to give yourself kind of a slimmer, more lifted and more defined jaw, a more structured face in general. Now if you notice, I have been blending and blending till I have this seamless transition between my contour and my foundation. That is what you want to achieve. You don't want to see any harsh line, but right here you can see that there is a very prominent demarcation. You might feel like this is making it to have more structure, but this doesn't look good. This is just muddy. You need to have a seamless blend between all the products on your face so that it can come together and look and just be harmonized. This is giving costume and it doesn't look good. I was supposed to do concealer before contour, but guess who forgot? So let's go into concealer. The first mistake that you're ever going to make is choosing a concealer that is more than 1 to 2 shades. I wouldn't even advise any beginner to choose a concealer shade that is more than a shade lighter than your foundation, because your technique in applying concealer may not be the same as someone that is more advanced in makeup, and then you might end up applying it too much and not blending it well, and then like always you just look like a ghost. You don't want that. These are the 2 concealers that I make use of, and this is literally like a little bit, just a teeny bit lighter than my foundation shade. I know it looks darker in the bottle, but it's lighter than my foundation shade. This, on the other hand, is 2 shades lighter, possibly 3, and I only use this for brightening. I never use this alone for contouring. That is why I said I would advise that you go only a shade lighter than your foundation shade as a beginner, because you have no business with brightening your skin yet till you get comfortable with your base makeup and you just want to give it that oomph. But for now, 1 shade lighter than your skin is good. So for the don't side, I'm going to take this concealer that is about 2 to 3 shades lighter than my skin, and I'm going to start applying it in very large amounts and just covering the center of my face because I want that coverage, right? So I'm just going to do this. This worked in 2016, but does it work now? It still works. Like, it gives you that coverage, but at the same time, applying it this much, especially if you now go back inside your tube and come and do it again, are you kidding me? What are you trying to look like? What? Just look at that. On the do side, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to apply it right here and here. Don't dip your stuff back in and go back in again. Once is enough. This is enough. Another place you need to apply your concealer would be on your chin and on the tip of your nose, a little bit on your forehead, a little bit, and that's all you need to do. Now, another don't. I know you've seen makeup tips and tricks and everything, and they're like, let your concealer settle so that you can be able to get more coverage from it. That is subjective. It does not work for every concealer. There are some concealers that are so mattifying, that dry down so fast that it will be so difficult for you to blend. You need to know how long it takes your concealer to dry down. If it's a hydrating concealer or a mattifying concealer that dries down easily, you need to know before you start to leave it to set for hours and hours and it ends up just being unblendable. So I'm just going to leave this to set and I'm going to go in to start blending this one. You could use a beauty blender to blend this in, but sometimes I just like to use a brush, and this is how my concealer brush looks. As usual, I showed this in my previous video. You want to stamp it in. That is the thing about makeup. You've already done your placement in applying it. You want to now stamp it into the place. You don't need to move the product around so much. You just need to blend the edges and blend the products that you have placed as well. Now, me blending this out, I have given this time to dry up. You want to blend the edges out first and then blend the outer part. I like to go into the inner corner last. Another mistake most people make is trying to pick up the product. You're just too hard with the blending. You don't want to be too hard with it. You want to blend it in softly. Just control the way you're blending in the product and just take your precious time to blend out the edges, because if you're too harsh with blending out your concealer, it would pick up the product and it wouldn't drop it back. You will now have a very unblended patchy concealer, and this is how this side looks. You can always go back in with your contour brush and just bring everything together. If you notice any harsh line, you can just do that, just so that everything can be seamless. What you want, like I said, is a seamless transition. On this side, on the other hand, I'm just going to blend this out, but you know yourself, you know that you let this dry down way too much, and I'm just going to start blending from anywhere. Can you see that patchy concealer? And you're just going to keep blending from anywhere, no placement whatsoever, and then you start panicking. By the time you get to this extent, you're panicking because this is not the result that you wanted. This is not the result you were trying to achieve. Obviously, you were trying to achieve this result. At the end of the day, is either you take it all off or you keep panicking and stabbing your face, trying to see if you can blend it in properly. And then it keeps getting patchier and patchier and you keep panicking. Now, if you look at this, my face is longer. it is unblended, and I have been blending for God knows how long, while on this side all the products are blended in together, harmonized, and my face looks lifted. On this side, on the other hand, I'm having trouble blending this in. I'm having a patchy concealer that just wouldn't blend enough because I left it to dry on for too long. I don't know anything about blending in the edges, so I'm confused about what to do on this side. I'm just going to continue using my concealer brush to try to blend out the edges and keep elongating it, because obviously that's what you're going to do, because you're trying to, and then you start to swipe. Oh God, it keeps getting worse. You start to swipe just so that you can, I think I'm even making it a bit better, and this is what you end up with, and now you look like a ghost. I don't know, like I was that, maybe I exaggerated this a little bit. I don't know if I did, but this is probably why you don't do your concealer and contour, because you've tried this before and it turned out to be this, because this is the only reason why I would never try it again. But you can achieve this. You just have to know the right shades to use, the right placement, how to blend, and how to go back in. Don't be scared to go back in with your brushes. If your concealer is too harsh, go back in with your concealer brush. You have to make sure you have a seamless transition. That is what makes a makeup to be beautiful and to be clean. You can't have this, the harsh lines are just all over the place. It looks muddy, and then this is just unblendable, and it has ruined and covered up your foundation, and now your face looks flatter, fatter, and wider than it was before. Okay, I'm being too harsh, but you get the point. Don't do this. Do this if you're making 1 or 2. In fact, if it's more than 1, then you definitely need this video that I made on highlighting and contouring. So definitely go and check that out on my page. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell for more videos like this. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.